Welcome to 5 Facts Only. Today, we're uncovering the top 5 creepiest messages ever left by serial killers. Number 5. The Manson family.
It has been said the decade of love came to a sudden violent end in August 1969, shattered by the Manson family murders.
The Manson family cult is infamous not only for their brutal murders but also for the chilling messages they left behind at crime scenes. On the 27th of July, 1969, member Bobby Beausoleil murdered Gary Hinman and scrawled the phrase, "political piggy," on the wall in blood. This unsettling act set the tone for what would follow.
A macabre message that shocked and confused the city.
Just days later, during the horrific Tate murders, Susan Atkins echoed this message by writing "pig" on the front door of the victim's home. The violence continued the next night, when Leno and Rosemary LaBianca were slain in their home. Patricia Krenwinkel, another Manson follower, left disturbing phrases throughout the house, including "rise," "death to pigs," and most famously, "helter skelter," misspelled as "helter skelter." This haunting phrase later became the title of prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi's best-selling book, Helter Skelter, which chronicled the case and solidified its place in true crime history.
Manson and his followers were convicted and sentenced to die, but when California's death penalty was ruled unconstitutional in 1972, their punishments were changed to life in prison.
Number 4. Dennis Rader is a notorious serial killer who murdered 10 people in Wichita, Kansas, between 1974 and 1991. He came to be known as the BTK Killer, short for bind, torture, kill, a name he coined himself in a chilling letter sent to a local news station. Rader's crimes began with the horrific killing of 4 members of the Otero family, whom he strangled and suffocated inside their home. Rader's killings were methodical, sadistic, and often sexual in nature. After murdering his victims, he would sometimes masturbate over their bodies. His letters to police and news outlets revealed gruesome details about the murders, including the victims' final words. In one letter, Rader recalled how Julie Otero begged him to spare her family and said, "God have mercy on you," moments before her death. He also described how her 11-year-old daughter cried, "Mommy, I love you," before he ended her life. BTK's need for attention and recognition drove much of his behavior. In one disturbing message to a news station, he wrote, "How many people do I have to kill before I get my name in the paper?" He continued sending taunting messages for years, sometimes leaving them taped to street signs or in parked vehicles. His ego ultimately became his downfall. In 2004, after years of silence, Rader resumed contact with authorities. He asked police if a floppy disk could be traced back to him. They lied and told him it couldn't. Taking the bait, Rader sent in a disk containing another message. Investigators recovered deleted metadata from a Microsoft Word document on the disk, revealing it had been last edited by someone named Dennis at Christ Lutheran Church. Dennis Rader was arrested in 2005. Shockingly, he appeared to be a model citizen, a married father of 2, president of his church, a former U.S. Air Force member, and a Boy Scout leader. He had worked for ADT Security, installing alarm systems for families terrified of the BTK killer. In court, Rader confessed to all 10 murders. He was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms and is currently incarcerated at El Dorado Correctional Facility, where he will spend the rest of his life. Number 3. Micah Xavier Johnson, a U.S. Army veteran who served in Afghanistan, grew increasingly disillusioned with the way law enforcement treated Black Americans. His frustration and anger ultimately culminated in a deadly act of violence.
Now they say that he'd been scribbling in those journals you mentioned, that he had practiced bomb detonation and doing tactical drills in his backyard, all in order to become what they call a killing machine.
On the 7th of July, 2016, during a protest in Dallas, Texas, Johnson carried out a coordinated attack, fatally shooting 5 police officers. In addition to the lives lost, 9 other officers and 2 civilians sustained injuries during the ambush.
Investigators are working to stitch together hundreds of hours of police body cam and dash cam video in a crime scene that still spans over a dozen city blocks.
Before he was killed by police via a robot-delivered explosive device, the wounded Johnson reportedly scrawled the letters RB on a wall. Dallas Police Chief David Brown noted the writing, but admitted that its meaning remained unclear at the time.
On the way up the staircase, he scrolled the letters of RB.
Police are still investigating its meaning.
Investigators later found writings in Johnson's journal described as disjointed and rambling. A widely discussed theory suggests that the letters RB were part of RBG, a reference to the Pan-African flag, red, black, and green, symbolizing black liberation and unity. Number 2. Mary Bell was only 10 years old when she committed her first murder, taking the life of a 4-year-old boy named Martin Brown in 1968.
Oh, she was wicked. She was, I think.
The shocking nature of the crime stunned the community, not just because of the victim's age, but because of the age of the killer. In the days following Martin's death, Mary and her friend, Norma Bell, broke into a nearby nursery school. There, they left behind a series of handwritten notes. Though the notes were riddled with spelling errors, their disturbing intent was unmistakable. 2 of them claimed responsibility for Martin's death, another issued a vague warning, and a 4th chillingly read, "I murder so that I may come back."
The general tenor of these notes was to tease and provoke the police, because the police weren't making any progress.
As if that weren't disturbing enough, Mary later reportedly phoned Martin Brown's grieving mother to tell her she wanted to see him in his coffin. Then, just 2 months after the first killing, Mary, now 11 years old, struck again, murdering 3-year-old Brian Howe. His death would be her second and final known victim before her arrest.
She was deeply embedded in a sort of petty crime environment, an environment in which violence against each other was something that was almost acceptable and the norm.
Number 1. David Berkowitz, infamously known as the Son of Sam, terrorized New York City between 1976 and 1977 in a killing spree that left 6 people dead and 7 wounded. His crimes sparked one of the most intense manhunts in American history and sent shockwaves of fear across the city, particularly among young women. Berkowitz was adopted as a child and told that his biological mother had died during childbirth. At age 17, he joined the U.S. Army, served in Korea, and received an honorable discharge after 3 years. Later, he learned that his birth mother was still alive. Upon discovering details of his illegitimate birth and the circumstances surrounding it, Berkowitz felt isolated and suffered an identity crisis that deepened his emotional instability. By the mid-1970s, Berkowitz's mental state had deteriorated. He began his killing spree by stabbing, later switching to a .44 caliber revolver, which would become his signature weapon. He specifically targeted young women with long, dark hair, often ambushing them while they sat in parked cars with their boyfriends. The fear was so widespread that many women dyed their hair, wore wigs, or cut it short in an effort to avoid resembling his typical victim. Berkowitz was ultimately caught in 1977 after a woman saw his car parked near the scene of a shooting and reported it to police. When arrested, he bizarrely claimed that a neighbor's dog, which he believed was possessed by demons, had commanded him to kill. This disturbing confession shocked the public and added a layer of eerie mythology to his already terrifying crimes. In the 1990s, Berkowitz recanted the story of the demon dog, instead claiming he was part of a satanic cult responsible for orchestrated ritual murders. However, these claims were never substantiated. Regardless of the truth, his legacy was cemented not just by his violence, but also by the creepy, taunting letters he sent to police and the press. One chilling note read, "I am still here, like a spirit roaming through the night. I love my work. Now the void has been filled. These haunting messages, combined with his erratic behavior and twisted confessions, helped make David Berkowitz one of the most infamous serial killers in American history. Like and subscribe 5 Facts Only for more chilling content.